I've just bid farewell to Stuart and Andy. That was Dark Angels and World Eaters. They've literally left 10-15 minutes ago. I've cleared their board down. This is on a Saturday, and now I'm going to get ready for filming tomorrow, which will be a Sunday. So tomorrow we have Matt Kane and James Wright. We've seen them both on the channel before. James is bringing Emperor's Children allied with demons, and Matt is bringing his Custodes or Custodes with Sisters of Silence. So it's Talons versus Emperor's Children and demons. We talked at length about what board we wanted. And in the end, we decided sort of a 50-50 split, really. So we're going to have sort of the edge of a city that goes out into the wild wastelands of the planet. Again, I'm going to build this one on an angle. I'm not going to build it as in sort of Dawn of War or Hammer and Anvil. It's going to be more sort of, it's not Shatter Strike, is it? That's a mission. Vanguard Strike, I think it is. So there's going to be a city over here. Hence the kitchen tiles. There's going to be a defence line all the way around the perimeter, and then we're going to go out into the desolate wastes of the Badlands, we'll call them. Why not? Really straightforward board build. I'm not going to talk a lot about this one, but literally I've just put down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 kitchen tiles. They're just slate kitchen tiles from B&Q if you're in the UK. I think they're about £12 a tile. I'm not quite sure. I can't remember now. It's such a long time ago that I bought them. And I've just laid them out in a pattern that will give me a diagonal line from one corner of the board to the other. I will try and make it exactly in half using the old Forge World defence lines here, but I might run out, so I might wreck a couple of sections, or I might put an opening in it just to make sure I can get that definitive line. It's not for any particular reason. I just like dual boards where you've got a textured surface or a smooth built-up city versus a rough textured surface, as in sort of the badlands of the outskirts of a city or whatever. So I just like that kind of duality in a board because it makes it a little bit more interesting. And of course you've got the defence line to come over, and we'll put some crates and some wreckage and some bits and bobs, so we've got cover both sides. But the premise of the story will essentially be either the demons have infested a city and the Talons have come to clear them out, or the Talons are defending a city and the Emperor's Children and the demons are looking to infest it. So it will work either way, and we never decide on deployment or mission until both guys are here. We've set their armies out, we've done their army list, we know exactly what we've got. We'll come upstairs and we discuss about what we're going to do. So it's not left to chance or dice rolls. We do try and produce the best game possible, and if that means we pick the deployment and the mission, then we do so. But the board is set, so the board can obviously be played in any configuration of the 6 deployment types. It just depends on what looks better for the scenario. So, you know, we could end up playing Hammer and Anvil where, you know, instead of being the other side of the line for the diagonal deployment, we're sort of end to end or whatever. We could do ambush where we've got half in, half out. So it doesn't really matter. To that end, I'm going to get on with it. It's a bit of experimentation. I don't think I've got enough of these defence lines to go to the full width of the diagonal, but I'm going to give it a try. So we'll see how we get on. Right, there you have it. We actually did have enough, which is really great. And the thing I love more than anything else is this one. This kind of reinforced bunker here is exactly in the middle. So we've got 2 sections of bunker, 5 sections bunker, 2 sections bunker, 5 sections bunker. Now for me, that is absolutely amazing. So really, really pleased about that. I'm not going to need the rest of these positions, these defence lines here. So we'll dump them off a little bit later on. And now all we need to do now is just put these buildings in an order that looks right. We kind of want to go on the grid, but because in a grid system, but because we are at an angle, all the buildings will be built perpendicular to the wall, which will be perfect. So, you know, instead of having them square onto the board edges, we are going to rotate them, and this will make some interesting pockets behind the buildings rather than being square on. So I'm just going to try and fill them up as much as possible. Now, in particular, this building here has 2 doors, but I guess there could be an argument for having the doors facing outwards towards the defence line, I guess. But in my mind, the doors perhaps would be here facing inward, or even more so facing outward. But I'm going to put it here. And I'm going to put a ruined section in this quarter here, because if I put that hard up against there, we've got a lot of wasted space, and we want to create a dense fighting environment. So even if we put a small wrecked section of building in here, that will help close this gap up really nicely. And I will get some photos and overlay that photo for you so you can see the gap that it fills. So I'm really, really pleased with how that looks. To put a little bit more gap in there. You know, we need to think about the game as well. So we need to make sure a Rhino minimum can fit through there, maybe a Sakaran. Although I know that obviously because we're playing Talons, there's not going to be that much. A lot of it's obviously floating, isn't it? But if the Emperor's Children get the deployment in the city, they'll need to be able to maneuver their forces out. And maybe, I think James has got a Proteus and a Spartan as well. So we need to make provision for that. Which we have made just there, which works really well. And then again, if I can find a tape measure, oh, look at that to hand, we'll try and get the same distance. So we're 7 inches between the buildings. So if we have the same, that'll just bring uniformity to the board, which, as we know from the bunker in the centre there, we know I love. So we'll just try and line all that up. That's pretty good. I know you might think it's silly or petty to get those things lined up, but for me it's all about the detail. I quite like that one as well. Now the thing to bear in mind is this wall isn't perfectly straight, so although we've got a perfect gap between here, the wall does slightly curve a little bit. I don't want to spend too much time getting the wall immaculately straight. But we can try a little bit just to help with the distance here so it doesn't look too odd. Try and get that square onto the wall if I can. That might help save me some effort. And I'll try and get a photo right down the side of those buildings so you can see what I'm talking about. That's not too bad. Good, and then again we'll put one here just to... Oh, it's a bit big. Why don't we... Let's do this. Right, there we go. That's the city pretty much laid out. I am going to reinforce a lot of these holes with barrels and crates and the little bunker, the little defense lines you can get from Forge, or the old ones. And then we need to tackle the Badlands, we'll call them for the sake of arguments. So I'm just going to use some key choices of rock just to get some cover, and then I might build like a little containered area just to provide some sort of cover between that kind of no man's land almost. So that shouldn't take too long really, so I shall get on with that. I just want to do a little bit something different here on this really lovely flat surface. I want to try and put like a workhouse or a overseer's station of some sort on here, but I want it to kind of cover a little bit of this platform and maybe some of the other platform as well. So we're going to have a quick look at that. Right. I know that seemed like a really long, complicated thing, but I just wanted it to add a little bit of interest. I wanted it to feel like maybe like I say a mining site, but there's no mining site, is there? There's just two cranes, but maybe it's part of an excavation, something like this. I did want to put the overseer's office in there, but it just didn't quite work. But I kind of like that. I might make that into a big crater. I might put some stones around here. Excuse me, and then build that up a little. But I quite like that. I'm going to reinforce these edges here with some sandbags and some barrels and stuff, just to make it look a bit more interesting. That's the board pretty much finished. The only thing I need to do now, of course, is add all the stone and the aggregate. I really like the idea of the two cranes over there, like they're excavating something, and that could be reason why there's a demonic incursion allied with the Emperor's Children in this city. So that's quite interesting to me. I kind of like that story. So all I'm going to do now is I'm just going to add all the aggregate, and my aim is to hide a lot of the kitchen tiles, the slate tiles that are forward of the defence line, and then only a little bit of that debris and that kind of the aggregate will spill into the city. Obviously the city is somewhat destroyed, so there'll be some rubble and some damage incurred by those buildings and the rubble into the building. So we'll do that as well. Other than that, it's quite simple. There's loads of line of sight blocking terrain no matter where you come from on the board. So I think it'd be quite an interesting board, but I'm going to carry on and I'll get the rest of it done and I'll come back to you with a finished board. I think that's the board finished. One thing which you might not be able to get from the angle of the camera is that in this area here, I've tried to build the banks up of the hole they're digging, I guess. And I don't think on camera, and particularly when the camera pans around in the game, I don't think you get a good appreciation of how much undulation you can get into the board if you use the aggregate to build up low-lying humps, I guess, or just the uneven surface of the land. So you know, when the camera's up high and you've got a unit shooting at another unit and it looks like a clear shot because the camera's so high, but actually, and you'll find this in most games, wherever you play, no matter what scenery you play on, it's not until you get properly down under to get the eyes, the model eyes view, and down the line of sight from the weapon, that you actually find that the target is obscured, or you just cannot get a line of sight to it. So I think sometimes you miss that quite a lot, because you just don't get appreciation of how kind of you can't judge the lie of the land from the camera because it's too high most of the time. The last thing we'd want is battle reports filmed at board level, because you don't have that godlike or overseer appreciation you do when you're stood over a table. Anyway, I've tried to batter the buildings up a little bit, put a little bit of rubber in there. I don't want to put too much, because don't forget, you know, we've got I think 7,000 points of models on the board, so 3.5k each side. So there's a lot of models to put on the board, so I'm trying not to clutter the board up too much. I think I need to have some dinner now. I'm absolutely starving. I've got an early bedtime for an early start tomorrow, because tomorrow's game is going to be a bit of a long one, I think. So purely because of the rules and the complexity of the armies. You know, Talons, I've got tons of rules, and so have Demons, and Demons are relatively new as well. Still new. There's not many Demon armies about, so I think the rules will take us quite a while to get through. So early night, early morning. I will probably add some barrels in the morning, and I need to tidy up the booth at the moment, but that's stuff for me to do, nothing for you to worry about. I really hope you've liked this board build. I say it every time, but I really genuinely do, and if you don't enjoy these videos, I won't film them for you if you're not bothered, but if you are, then you know, let me know, or if you're not keen, just email me. I'm waffling. I tend to do that. I really hope you've enjoyed this. Thank you so much for watching. I will do a load of photos so you can see the board in its full glory and add them at the end of this video. So if you haven't been waiting on for those, please wait and see those photos. Failing that, you will see this board in the next game due on the channel at the same time as this board build. Matt Kane, James Wright, Emperor's Children, Allied Demons versus Talons, battling it out for control of this artifact that's being dug up, or this relic, or this whatever's being dug up. So hopefully it'll be a thrilling game.
It is not my intention to be a president, but it is the people who appointed me to be the president.